And so, beloved masters, this is the full moon in Aries. The full moon that is actually the moon is in Libra, the sun is in Aries, and it is about new beginnings. It is about self and others. For Aries is the sign of I am. And Libra is the sign of we are. And so the balancing of issues that have been going on for so long that the earth is set asunder, the positive and the negative, the masculine and the feminine. And it is that as those separations are being called to heal in the new beginnings, that the energy of Aries is bringing to humanity. In this chart, the planet Mercury is at 14 degrees of Pisces, and it sits trine to Jupiter, which potentially can bring about some positive communications, not only in global affairs, but in what is going on in your own life. Feeling more peaceful, more compatible, more powerful. And Jupiter also sits in a T square with Jupiter at the top, and the sun and the moon mark the squares on either side. And this is a lot of new revelations about truth, honesty, integrity, in partnership, in union, in even making a working situation with other people. It calls for a lot of consideration about, as I'm finding myself in this time, how do I fit? How do I flow with others? For Libra is the sign of partnership. It is about marriage. It is about how you relate to the public. And it is ruled by Venus, which is in the sign of Taurus. So Venus sits in the early part of the sign, and it marks a square with the planet Pluto. Squares are motivational. Squares don't let you sit still well, because squares are a little bit like the proverbial tack in your chair. You just can't quite sit down and relax. So even though Venus says, calm down, this square to Pluto tends to keep wanting to hype things up, to generate new energy. Aquarius being ruled by both Uranus, which is ready to move into the sign of Gemini on the 26th of April. As April finishes, it is that all the planets will be back in direct motion. And that moves a lot of energy forward that has been in a holding pattern, so to speak. It is that healing, physically, mentally, emotionally, healing is a powerful focus. The trine between Mercury and Jupiter may cause you to feel a greater sense of compassion, to feel in your heart a willingness not to make excuses for others, but to allow that they, as all are have a right to, I will say, to their own choices, to their own experiences. And people have become so in a place of demanding their right to be heard, to be felt, to be accepted. And yet, the control that has brought humanity to that place of people demanding what we consider a divine right that doesn't require a war, an argument, a debate, or an application of energetic pressure. So, feeling into yourself and paying attention to how the energy feels. When you feel into your solar plexus, when you feel into your heart center, is there a sense of demand? Is there a sense of calling others to do what you say? Is there a pressure to win the fight, whatever it is? Because people are still, many are still wanting to fight to get their way, fight to win not only the war that exists in the Middle East, but also local wars, personal wars, wars with your partner, wars with friends, wars on the job. So, dearly beloved masters, letting go of the war requires getting in energetically, getting in to yourself and feeling what it feels like as you're thinking about the outcome of what you desire. Is it peaceful? Are you allowing it to come to you? Or do you still believe that, as you have done for lifetimes, you have to fight, you have to push, you have to be stronger than the opposition? But these gentle energies, and yes, Aries is a sign of the warrior. It has been about battle and heroism and winning for lifetimes. Its symbol the horns of the ram. And people have come to a place over eons of time where many believe if I just battle my way, but my way through using the ram's horns, I'll get my way. But in these times, the harder you try, the more challenging it gets. The harder you try, the more uncomfortable you may feel in your physical body. The harder you try, the longer it takes to accomplish things. It may or may not take by the clock any more time. And yet, if you're trying, if you're pushing, if you're energetically attempting to make things move or to make the other person capitulate, you may find that the sense of being tired, being exhausted, is bigger, and it seems to take less time to tire out. And so, beloved masters, feeling in the energy of the heart and the soul center, are you trusting in compassion, in faith? Are you trusting I am cared for? Now, Aries is the I am sign. I am that I am. I am one with God. God is all that is. And so, moving from the head to the heart requires feeling the difference in yourself, feeling it, which means as you move deeper into Aries, this is the first full moon in the month of April. But on the 31st of March, there is another full moon, and that one is Taurus and Scorpio. More secrets to be revealed. The warriors going deeper and perhaps, hopefully, learning not to fight so much, or maybe finding new, more hidden ways of creating conflict. Make it look on the surface as though there is movement toward peace, and then let people just find out on their own that even though it looked or sounded peaceful, the intention was to hide what's really going on. So, a wonderful example of that in these times is all of the prisons that are rising up in small towns all over America, prisons that have been purchased for outrageous amounts, sometimes as much as 2 or 3 times what the building was worth. And that thousands, 7,000, 10,000 people would be housed in that building very often now as things are moving without water, because many of the towns where these buildings are existing don't have the water to provide for the people that live in the town, much less to provide for another small town worth of people. So the hidden agendas, the things that just accidentally get revealed because the way that the planets are moving in the heavens, this trine that has been going on between Pluto and Uranus, revealing secrets, changing things away from the way they were. How did you think it should continue to be done? And then watch as it moves in a totally different direction. The perspective, the idea that one man in a position of power could dismantle a world in a year. Now, obviously, there were many that took part in that, but the ideas, the directives, the orders emitted from one place and the whole world. Those that were called allies of the United States and those that were called enemies. It now is all stirred up together, and it's really challenging to know where's an ally and where is an enemy, because, dearly beloved masters, where the energy is going is that right and wrong, good and bad, even masculine and feminine, come together in a sacred union, uniting as one, not just in the head, but in the heart and soul. So the planets are moving people to really stop and feel. We didn't say think, even though Aries rules the head and thinking has been the way for a long time, to feel you in yourself, to feel you all of one piece instead of divided into pieces. And what side are you on? Who do you stand for? The old phrase of, well, if you are not with me, then you are against me, is a motto of division. But as you come home and blend, as you are united with yourself inside, you begin to recognize that in spirit, the divisiveness of the outer world, the thinking process, functions very differently as humanity's moving into this new order. So for now, Mars, ruler of Aries, is trine to Jupiter, ruler of Sagittarius. There's more and more emphasis on fire, fire and air. And that can lead to a sense of things burning up, even if they're not physically burning down. But you may feel extra heat in your body. There may be more and more people that are experiencing high blood pressure because Aries, Mars rules is a fiery sign, and as Mars moves into the sign of Aries to stay for a while, it is that there's going to be more and more focus on war being the way to get what you want. You simply beat people down. You take away what provides for them. You take away their food, their education, their sense of worth and value. You take away their ability to transport themselves because if you cannot buy the gas, you cannot drive the car or fly the plane. You cannot move about. And so you freeze people on the ground where they are. And the answer, you notice I did not say solution. The answer is not a logic problem. Let me tell you what to do, and you do that, and that will be fine. Except that now, as there are going to be 9 planets, actually, they have discovered 3 more. So 3 planets or 9, 12 planets in the sign of Aries on the new moon on the 18th of March. And it is, or May rather, April. We'll go through the months, we'll find one. And so the new moon in April is on the 16th. And that brings an energy of such emphasis on conflict, on the mind, on needing to do, on trying to make things happen. And it requires breathing, breathing. The heart, in many ways, is fire generated. Aries is the first fire. It's the new fire that you just built. It just is flickering into being new beginnings. Leo is the mature fire that burns strong and powerful. And definitely it is connected with the energy of the heart. And Sagittarius is the mature fire as it's burning low. And the Sagittarian fire burns hotter than either one of the others. So the heat of the moon in the fire signs stirs a lot of heated emotions. And so, beloved masters, to feel within yourself the opportunities to do things in a new way, to experience things in a calmer, cooler way. The heat is definitely going to influence the earth And it is that people are going to find the temperatures are going up even more, especially with so many planets in fire signs. All of these things that are so different that humanity has said, what are they going to do about it? What are they going to come up with? And interestingly enough, where things are going on the planet now, it's time for each one of you to begin to come up with your own ideas, to be creative, to feel into your potential for doing things in a new and very different way. So as the heat is on and people are going to begin to seek water, it may appear that the floods that have been so prevalent as Saturn and Neptune move through the sign of Pisces, the waters aren't going to be there as much. And people will be required to consider regulating their own resources. It can no longer continue as long as me and mine are well kept. Then I don't have to be concerned about others. And yet, the planets and how they are moving in the heavens are calling forth more honesty, more truth, more integrity, more caring, more realization that everyone on this planet is a part of everyone else. Everyone on this planet, approximately 8 billion people, and you are all a part of the whole that constitutes the earth. So many things are being called to change because we've been told for thousands of years, judge not, lest you be judged. And yet the further people have come into these times, people have become quite righteous about their judgments. And perhaps knowing within themselves that they should not judge, and yet finding that they do judge, and so they seek to find ways to make it appear that they don't judge. But it brings us back to the divine law of threefold, tenfold. I keep reminding because this is going to become progressively more and more important for each individual. This isn't why aren't they doing this? This is, it's time I discovered how to interact with others, not with a need to measure them as better than, worse than, or richer or poorer, or in a better class than I am, or in a lower class than I am. and just letting the fire, the heat that can cause many battles, but it also can burn away the dross. It can clear the ground so that something new can be built. And so to feel it inside of you. And even though Saturn is going to move on through the sign of Aries, it takes approximately 2.5 years for Saturn to move through one sign. So it will be in Aries for approximately 2.5 years, or through this year, 27, and definitely into 28. And as it's there, it's moving further and further away from Neptune. So there will be a crisis time where Saturn and Neptune will touch not so much to each other, but through other planets that will call that energy of Saturn and Neptune to boil over. The pot is boiling. Saturn is about the old order. And as the fires are burning bright, to open up new ways of understanding, not so much in your head, but more and more in your heart. And again, I emphasize, feel you inside of you. To live inside of your physical form energetically can feel very weird, because in all this time, though the body is born and you are connected with it, many people, as they mature, as they move beyond childhood, begin to lose connection with their physical form. And they begin to lose interest in their physical body, which in many ways creates a lot of the depression, the loneliness, the feeling of being ignored or left out. Because if you're not connected to yourself, you're not going to feel that essence, that energy of the divine I am inside of you, where your energy is, the connecting to God, Goddess, the feeling of the unity with yourself, and not nearly as concerned as the fires of Aries burn, not nearly as concerned with what are they doing and how do I stop them, as it comes home. How am I moving with my own potential future? What am I desiring to create? And if you find yourself planning what they are supposed to be doing to help you accomplish this, stop right there. Because this is no longer writing the script for other people. This is about, yes, writing your script and focusing on what you desire to bring about in love, but it also, as you begin to allow yourself to consider, and what do I desire to create? It also calls you to consider free will and how it feels to make your own choices. And it is not about fighting for the right to make your own choices. It is about feeling the strength, the courage, the integrity to make wise choices within you, choices that bring a happy heart, choices that allow your digestion to begin to heal, choices that can potentially lower the blood pressure, begin to allow the heart in its two parts, atrial and ventricle, but the chambers give it four parts, two above and two below. And as you focus on heart energy, on the love in the heart seed, in the middle of the physical organ, the energy of I am, and feeling that I am energy, connecting with God, Goddess, all that is. I am one with my soul. I am one with my heart. I am one with God, Goddess, all that is, and feel that. You may find that there are masters that you feel led to call in these times to be with. They may be masters you've never heard of until one day someone says a name or you pick up a book and read about a master, God, Goddess, that it strikes a chord. It feels like if I call on that master, I'm going to find aspects that are going to help me rebuild my home as I'm coming home to myself. Not walls to keep people out, but a loving space that I create to feel good. Come and share with me. Come and be a part of my life. Come and sit and we'll have a cup of tea or cafe and we'll enjoy each other without the thoughts of, but I was told I couldn't associate with this person. I was raised to believe that if I associated with them or those kinds of people, that I would be punished. Now, beloved Master, I will remind you that when Jesus Christ came to be with the planet Earth, he came with an intention to help people remember unconditional love. He came with an intention that I will love myself so well that I can love others without question. Unconditional love. He never came to be a savior because he understood quite clearly that the thousands of beings that were on the earth were equal to him. But the religions have singled him out and made him one of a kind, God's only child. And if you will excuse my saying so, what does that make the rest of humanity, chopped liver? Because if there's only one Son of God, then it's very easy to tell you all that you're victims, or to tell you all that you're slaves, or to tell you all that you have no value. And many have believed it to the point that they are crushed by the burden of the judgments that have been heaped upon them and they didn't know what to do, or that they have used against themselves, and it's definitely time to let them go. So the outer planets, Pluto and Uranus and Saturn and Jupiter and Neptune, are all moving in a direct motion now. And it is that they are bringing your authorship of your own life clearly to you. You are the author. You have a way of using the script, yes, that your soul wrote before you came here. But as you read the script, the soul took into consideration things that you would love to do, things that you would enjoy creating, things that you require to learn. And so as everything is changing so that getting back to where things were is becoming less and less possible every day. And it is for you to come home, to clean your house, to make it ready for you to live in again. And that brings us back to feeling yourself in your own physical vehicle. And there are a lot of people, when you begin to talk about being inside of yourself, they have no concept of what that means. They can think about it. They can image some pictures in their mind. But to experience the energetics of living in your own house and having the clear ability to decide what will happen in this house. This is my sacred space, your home, your inner space. And I will invite you into my home in love. But if you come to my home with war on your mind, I will love you no less Let me say that again. I will love you no less, but I will love you better over there outside of my sacred space. You can come to the edge and we'll negotiate. And if I begin to feel that you are really intentionally coming to my space with a changed consideration, with a different mindset, then I will welcome you into my holy space. But it is to deeply comprehend that you are the one who makes your own choices. You are the one who makes your own choices in here, not up here. Because the mind really does focus so intentionally on the outer world that it is very difficult for logic to imagine what the inner world might even be like. Logic really doesn't, in many ways, have time for imagination. So the children of the early 20th century have become grandparents and great-grandparents to children that don't understand the outside. The outside is fearful. Some may long for a forest or for a field or for some wonderful outdoor space of freedom. And yet, in order to make that happen, there is the necessity of going within and meeting the fear that has been created over lifetimes of open spaces. In an open space, I'm vulnerable. In an open space, there's nowhere to hide. If I'm in a forest, maybe I can go behind a tree or under one, but not a field or a meadow or even Grand Central Park. So it is altering your energetic perspective so that you are comfortable living in your house. Because this is your house. Your house is the body that you chose for this journey. Yes, you may have consulted with your soul about what to pick, yes. And the time may come when you decide that you don't particularly want to wear this suit of clothes anymore. And so you go to your closet and you slip this one off. And as you are looking for what you're going to wear in the next life, the transformation calls you not only to pick a suit of clothes, but to consider how is that look, that outfit, how is that beingness, the height, the weight, the color, the gender, whether you are fit or whether you are not, whether you are heavy or whether you are thin, and really consider in yourself, what is my desire for the next life? Even while you're here, you might begin to think about it. Many say, I don't want to think about it. That's very frightening because that means death. Now, beloved masters, in all the changes that are happening as you learn to live inside of yourself, really, energetically, really, I'm in here. It feels weird, but I'm in here. But where do you desire to go with this life? Not what are you going to do? Not even particularly what occupation will I follow? Not even I'm too old to think about those things because, beloved masters, just because you move out of this life and you're in the liminal space between lives, you're still living. So who you are doesn't die. So that removes a great deal of the fear and desperation and anguish and horror that humans have designed, that logic has dramatized, and it is to get very clear in yourself that you care, that you are honest with yourself, that you are trying to be like someone else because you can't be them and they can't be you, but you can be yourself better than anyone else. You can be you marvelously. You can be you spectacularly. You can be you really, but you can't be them. Not at all. Oh, I wish I was like you. If you had any idea who I am, you might not want to do that. But you can look for what you admire in others in yourself. Feel it in yourself. Get very clear within you just how important you are. Not more important, but just amazingly important. The logical mind has convinced people that they have no value. No one cares. And many people aren't seen because they focus so much on nobody sees me. So as you are creating and recreating your life, get clear that the more you focus on what you don't want to be, the more that will stay with you. You may shed a whole lot of old things, but if you're still focusing on some part of you that you specifically like and admire, or maybe you really don't want to take that with you when you move forward, but wherever your thought forms, your energetic mind focuses, that's what you call into your life. I want to be rich. I want to be rich. I want to be rich. What does that mean? Because you can say the words like a litany 1,000 times, and in yourself, you still don't believe that you have that ability. I want to be rich because I don't have it, is basically where the logical mind goes. I want to be them because they have things that I don't. But do you really want to pay the price of being them to potentially get what they've got when, in all honesty, if you're true to yourself, what they've got isn't really what you want? You may like the idea of lots of money and a lifestyle that gives you some freedom. But when you ask for freedom, you get a multiplication and magnification of freedom. When you ask to be like them, and you think about it and you dwell on it and you ask about it, you may find that things that are happening in their life began to happen in yours. And there may be more and more people that are thinking about being something they want to be outside of themselves, but they aren't considering that if I want to be like them, then that means I take on the life, the challenges, the heartaches, the failures, whatever it looks like on the outside. I'm also asking to take on what's going on the inside. And this is exactly why humanity is where it is today. People have been so out-focused on them, on what the others were doing. I want to be a star. I want to be a wealthy person. I want to be beautiful. I want to be admired. But if you don't love yourself, if you get those things, you're still not going to be satisfied. And if you really love yourself, you'll begin to realize you've already got them. I am beautiful. I am rich. I am a wonderful person. Because I love, I am loved. And as I love, it returns threefold, tenfold. So the more love I'm willing to share, the more that I receive back. If I, in love, feel that I can be generous without being harsh to myself, and it really is an inner feeling, a sense of, well, I would love to share with them, but if I share with them, there might not be enough for me. And that, beloved masters, is where the power of faith comes in to your world, really. I feel into myself, and I feel I would really desire to assist. in whatever way, a charity, a family I know, to some cause, some charity. But the logical mind goes to the numbers and says, if you do that, you might not be able to take care of things. In love, honestly, when you share from the heart, you put it out there in faith. I am sharing with them, and I feel that I am well cared for. I am deeply loved. And the return on what I share may not return right away. But as long as things are well, I don't need it. Well, logic says you've got to have a lot of money to buffer you so that whatever comes, you can pay for it. But there's so many things that come that don't have a price. And if you gathered lots of money, but you really haven't gathered a lot of love, then you may feel a lot of fear about sharing. And that fear is what you get to come into your inner self. Call spirit, call goddess, call God, call Jesus, call Lord Michael, call the muses, any spiritual help that you really desire. And you ask to be shown the understanding within yourself of living in faith and trust within you, even though there's no proof, even though there's no guarantee. Logic will tell you there's proof. God will tell you there's a guarantee, but not that you're going to get exactly what you want. Logic will tell you, oh, yes, you'll get exactly what you want. And then people feel betrayed. But as you deeply love yourself, not possessively, but deeply, that you feel the kindness, that you feel the compassion, that you feel gratitude for the little things. Because logic is always wanting some big, fancy thing. Wow! But it's the little things. A pat on the hand, an arm around your shoulders, a smile, a kind word, saying something that your heart tells you to say, and you have the faith to trust it, rather than saying, I can't say that to them because they are fill in the blanks. But as you are moving home to yourself and moving away from the separation, the bone grinding, exhausting separation that humanity has come to live in. Many people in these times will believe they're justified to go and take away from their neighbor. Well, I don't have enough, but they don't have enough either. And that's where your faith in the divine is challenged. Patience is a virtue. How long do I have to wait? Logic says. And dearly beloved masters, the challenge may last for a while. It might go on for days or weeks or months. And in an occasional instance, now and then, yes. But as you develop the patience muscle, then you begin to feel, I am safe. When I require something, it's there. Not the moment I snap my fingers, but when I require it, it's there. I am beloved. I am cared for. I am well attended. Well, it wasn't what I wanted. Did you desire to be fed? Well, yes. But I wanted steak and caviar. Maybe later. Just wait. And so every soul on this ball is being pulled free from the things that they have known. Many for generations, things have been a certain way, certainly in the Middle East and a lot of the European countries. People have lived in the same house, at least the family has, for hundreds of years. And now it's gone. What do I do? You don't. Please don't do. Allow yourself to feel, to get connected with the divine, to recognize how gloriously cared for you are. And everything in your life doesn't just have two sides, it has a multitude of sides. But if you choose to focus on failure, on lack, on loss, on powerlessness, on how hard you tried and you never were rewarded, if you focus on those things, then you perpetuate that in these times. Well, I'm sick, I don't feel good, I don't have the energy, I don't have the physicality to make the changes. Au contraire. Because every soul was granted the same tools, the same gifts. Now, when I say the same tools, for an example, everybody's got a shovel. This one may have a golden shovel and that one may have a wooden shovel, but everybody's got a shovel. That's just an example, but everybody's got the tools they require for their life. And you chose those tools because your soul felt that those would be the ideal tools to assist you as you move through this particular life. Those tools would be the most effective, the most convenient, the most fulfilling, And so the energy of creation is a picture in the mind, yes, imagination, but it is not the mind then attempting to force the picture to become real. It is about the mind showing the picture to spirit and saying, this or something better. Everybody's heard it. This or something better. And logic says you haven't got anything, so anything would be better. But the truth is, it really honestly is time. These planets, Mars will move into the sign of Aries around the 10th of March. And then Uranus will move into Gemini around the 28th of April. And I said April, I said March, I meant April, the 10th of April. So everything is moving into place to create an amazing amount of power. You just saw a rocket ship go to the moon today. And it took an amazing amount of power. By the new moon in Aries, 12 planets in Aries is very much like a rocket booster for all of you to move forward out of where you have been stuck. Well, how am I stuck? Where do you feel it? You've got to feel it. Because if you're attempting to accomplish something and you just keep feeling like you can't, where in your body do you feel it? Do you feel it in your neck and shoulders? Do you feel it in your head? Do you feel it in your solar plexus? Do your hips lock up? Are your knees not wanting to bend? Where are you holding the resistance that the universe is powering to you? Everybody's got the potential of a rocket booster to move them forward out of these times of limitation and into greater things. What do you desire? Oh, I don't know. Give me something. What do you, what do you personally desire? What are you thinking about and desiring, wishing you had it, but not quite sure that you can believe that you deserve it? There are planetary aspects here that really support a new becoming. The power to change your mind, not to do, but to allow. I desire to put my focus on what I really wish to have in my life. I want a good job. All right. Is the motivational element of that money or is it satisfaction? I really desire to have a job that makes my heart sing and fills my coffers. not a long-winded, drawn-out explanation to Spirit about how I need this and what I've got to do to get it. Spirit already knows those things. So give Spirit your description, and Spirit will know. Spirit will know if you are holding back or if you are attempting to make it happen, though you may be innocent and holding your hands out, and I'm just so ready here, and Spirit knows your heart. So really knowing yourself so well that you mean it when you ask, and that you have a really good perspective of what the outcome of your intentions is going to be. Dearly beloved, amazing, divine, creative masters, what do I desire as an ongoing, not just, I want a lot of money, because if you're not comfortable with it, if you don't like rich people, if you are afraid you're going to lose it, then asking for a lot of money can absolutely cause your heart to start racing. It may start your blood pressure rising. It may make your kidneys malfunction or your liver because you didn't take you into consideration. You looked out there and said, oh, that looks good. And in the moment that you get it, it may still look good. But then comes the realization, really, that if I have a lot of money, there are responsibilities and obligations that I feel within myself. No one else is putting this on me. I find it maybe in my belief systems that if I am rich, this is what I have to do. This is how I have to act. This is how I have to look. This is how, oh, I never get any rest because I'm never being me. So when you call the good to you, make sure it fits you now. Make sure that it fits you now. Because as soon as it comes, it will begin to change. Are you willing to live up to what you called for? Are you willing, dearly beloved masters, amazing, divine, creative masters, are you willing to live up to your magnificent Goddess created self? Or is it just easier to pity yourself, to say, I don't have what it takes? I guess I'll just have to do without, instead of in faith, in trust, in integrity, with all of these big outer planets bracing me and moving me forward. I am willing in the faith that I was given in the beginning to allow myself to let the life that I love happen. You can't plan it because how you would go about getting things may not fall into the alignment of what you desire to be. But if your intention in what you desire to be is about being in love, about living in faith, no trying to get a guarantee, no sign on the dotted line so I'll know this is going to go through, but living in faith and trust. I trust divine creation to provide for me, as I am clear that I am willing to participate in the life I desire. I'm willing to live up to it. And the challenges come with the life. So as the challenges come, in faith, in love, in integrity, in the power of my intentions, I am joyfully anticipating what life is going to bring me. And patience says, just because the first thing you get that you believe is in alignment with what you asked for, just because it doesn't work or doesn't appear to. Remember, you've asked for a really big project here, and there's going to be a lot of parts to a life. And if you ask for a big accomplishment, it may take a matter of time to get all the pieces together. So when the whole thing doesn't show up in your front yard, it doesn't mean that that isn't a part of it. But you've asked for something really big. Remember that, because that is a blessing that you were given as a divine creative master to ask big. And what do the religions of the world say? Don't bother God. God has become the patriarchal father that you tiptoe around. You don't want to make him angry, and you go to mother and get her to go ask him instead of having the internal fortitude to feel God, Goddess inside of you as friends, as beloved mentors that accept you for everything that you are. And so, beloved masters, these are powerful times. These are new beginnings. The old is dropping off just as parts of that rocket ship that took off for the moon fell away because they couldn't go the whole journey. They weren't a part of the whole journey. But logic wants to log on to the expectation, oh, everyone I started with is going to be there in the end. Maybe, maybe not. But expectations just lead to heartache and pain and a lot of suffering that isn't necessary if you're willing to be patient to see how things go. So, feel your power. Feel into yourself and get to know who's in here. And feel God, Goddess inside. Feel the masters that you choose to work with. Feel those that you may have said more than one lifetime. If I could just sit down and have a talk with Jesus. So call. And He can come and spend time with you. He lifts you up so you can stand on mountains. He lifts you up to walk on stormy seas. You are strong when you are on his shoulder. He lifts you up to more than you could be. Feel it. Don't think about it. Feel it. Let it be an integral part of your vibratory self, because these are time of a beginning that you cannot look back into the history books and say, well, that's what a beginning looks like. You can, but I can assure you this one isn't going to look that way. And so, dearly beloved masters, we will open the circle. We bless the North and the gifts and the understandings of the northern places. We bless the West. Emotions flowing to new and positive feelings. We bless the South, the places of the dragon. May the power and the wisdom of this ancient creature be with us all. And the places of the East. As the new age is rising, as the new life is beginning, we give thanks for new thought. And so, beloved masters, I call the circle open. May all that have joined us go out into their day, into their night, if they choose. And for those who would wish to remain, to be with us, you are welcome. May we meet, may we part, and may we meet again in love.